You'd think buying a brand new car means you're set for years, but new data shows that's not always true. Some buyers are handing the keys back before their first oil change is even due. A new industry study analyzed over 18.5 million new car sales and found 12 specific models that owners are giving up shockingly fast, some at nearly 8 times the national average. We're talking six-figure depreciation hits, buyer's remorse, and models people regret within months of driving off the lot. Today, we're counting down all 12 and exactly why owners can't wait to get rid of them. Let's start at number 12. Kicking off our list is the Nissan Versa, one of the most affordable new sedans sold in America. This one landed on an earlier IC Cars resale investigation with an early resale rate hovering around 8.7%, more than double the average for all vehicles at the time it was studied. The Versa's problem isn't reliability in the traditional sense, it's more about what you're not getting for the price. As one of the cheapest cars on the market, it comes with a notably basic interior, hard plastics throughout the cabin, and it skips a lot of the standard driver assist features that even budget rivals now include as standard equipment across the board. Buyers often go into a Versa purchase focused entirely on the low sticker price, treating it purely as a transportation appliance, and then find themselves wanting more tech, more comfort, and more safety features within just a few months of daily ownership. There's also a psychological factor at play with genuinely budget vehicles like this one. Buyers who stretch their budget slightly to afford a nicer trim of a competing model often report higher satisfaction than buyers who bought the cheapest available option purely to save money up front. The Versa tends to attract that second group, and once the initial savings excitement wears off, the day-to-day compromises become a lot more noticeable. It's a classic case of buyer's remorse driven by expectations, not defects. The car generally does what it's designed to do, get you from point A to point B cheaply and reliably enough, but once the new car excitement fades, a lot of owners start cross-shopping rivals with nicer cabins and more standard safety tech, and trade in sooner than they originally planned, even if it means taking on a bit more monthly payment than they'd originally budgeted for.
Number 11. BMW iX. BMW's electric flagship is losing owners almost as fast as it loses charge in winter. The BMW iX was positioned as definitive proof that the world's most celebrated driver's car manufacturer successfully navigated the electric transition. First-year abandonment data suggests that proof hasn't been delivered, and buyers paying $87,100 to $108,900 are discovering that premium pricing doesn't guarantee premium ownership in BMW's current electric lineup. Real-world winter range falling 30 to 44% below EPA figures. Owners in Canada and northern U.S. states documenting 180 to 220 miles against a rated 324 represents a daily planning disruption that buyers who made ownership decisions based on stated range find genuinely unacceptable at this price level. BMW's decision to remove physical controls for fundamental vehicle functions generated criticism severe enough that engineers acknowledged the error and issued corrective software, meaning first-year owners discovered their $87,000 vehicle's most distinctive feature required post-purchase manufacturer correction. But here's the twist. BMW's dealer network navigating EV-specific software and hardware issues hasn't deployed the tooling, training, and parts inventory comprehensively enough ahead of volume deliveries. That service readiness gap translates into extended repair wait times that amplify every other ownership frustration first-year iX owners experience. What most people don't realize is that iX resale values declining 35 to 45% within 18 months make early exit financially brutal but emotionally logical. When staying means continued frustration and leaving means a $40,000 loss, a meaningful number of owners are choosing the financial pain. Number 10 involves a mainstream nameplate that arrived 2 years late and still wasn't ready. Number 10, Nissan Ariya. Nissan's comeback EV arrived 2 years late and still wasn't finished. Starting at $41,000, the Ariya entered a competitive landscape that had moved dramatically during its extended development delay. Hyundai, Kia, and Tesla used those 2 years to refine software platforms, expand charging networks, and resolve driving dynamics issues. First-year Ariya owners making real-world comparisons against these alternatives are consistently finding their vehicle on the losing side of every meaningful assessment. Nissan's charging infrastructure partnership delivers materially inferior real-world reliability compared to every major competitor. Station uptime rates, charging speed consistency, and network coverage density all trail the alternatives that Ioniq 5 and EV6 owners access daily, creating a disadvantage that owners who previously drove combustion vehicles find particularly difficult to accept as inherent rather than correctable. But here's the twist. Multiple dealer visits for identical recurring software issues without resolution have become a defining characteristic of first-year Ariya ownership, appearing consistently across independent forums and Consumer Reports data. Owners who purchased with confidence in Nissan's dealer network are discovering that network's preparedness for EV-specific diagnostics falls significantly below what the vehicle's complexity demands. What most people don't realize is that Nissan's own aggressive incentivization of new Ariya inventory has narrowed the gap between new and used examples to a margin making used purchases without warranty protection financially unjustifiable. When that gap narrows sufficiently, the used market resets downward, and Ariya owners exiting in 2026 are encountering that reset at exactly the wrong moment. Number 9 involves a domestic brand whose launch failure set a new standard for how badly a new vehicle introduction can go. Number 9, Chevrolet Blazer EV. GM launched the Blazer EV and halted sales within weeks. Owners haven't forgotten. Starting at $44,995, the Blazer EV generated genuine pre-launch excitement, positioning it as an accessible Tesla Model Y alternative. Software causing complete loss of propulsion, system shutdowns in normal driving, and charging failures requiring dealer intervention forced GM to halt all new Blazer EV sales within weeks of first deliveries, an action with almost no precedent in modern mainstream automotive retail. Owners who took delivery before the halt found themselves driving vehicles GM's engineers were actively troubleshooting in real time. Software fixes required dealer installation rather than remote delivery, forcing owners to schedule visits simply to receive patches for problems that should never have existed at delivery on a vehicle from an established manufacturer at this price. But here's the twist. The relaunch with revised software in mid-2024 didn't restore confidence among buyers whose first months were defined by fundamental reliability failures extensively documented across every major automotive outlet. That coverage reached exactly the technology-forward buyer demographic electric SUV manufacturers most need, and permanently shaped their willingness to pay for used Blazer EV inventory. What most people don't realize is that GM's aggressive incentivization of new 2026 Blazer EV inventory has established transaction prices making 2-year-old used examples without warranty protection look financially unjustifiable. When new competes with used at near equivalent prices, owners motivated to exit find the market's appetite for their vehicles at fair prices extremely limited. Number 8 involves a luxury nameplate whose abandonment story is written in 6-figure financial losses. Number 8, Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. Paying $120,000 for a car you regret driving is a very specific kind of painful. Starting at $104,400, the EQS SUV generates abandonment decisions that are financially catastrophic in absolute dollar terms. The Hyperscreen's removal of physical controls for fundamental functions generated owner criticism severe enough that Mercedes issued corrective software, a manufacturer acknowledgement that the original interface prioritized visual marketing over daily usability. For buyers paying 6 figures expecting the most refined ownership experience in the electric SUV segment, discovering their vehicle's most distinctive feature, required post-purchase manufacturer correction is a trust-eroding experience that shapes every subsequent ownership interaction. Real-world range of approximately 270 miles against an EPA-rated 305, expanding to a 30% shortfall in northern winter conditions, creates planning disruptions that $120,000 buyers find genuinely unacceptable compared to what premium pricing should deliver. But here's the twist. EQS SUV owners attempting early exit are discovering trade-in valuations representing 40 to 52% of original purchase price. Abandoning a $115,000 vehicle generates realized losses of $55,000 to $65,000. That financial destruction is the most severe absolute dollar loss on this list, and yet a meaningful number of owners are accepting it rather than continuing ownership. What most people don't realize is that Mercedes' own aggressive pricing on new EQS SUV inventory directly suppressed used values by establishing lower anchors that the market immediately reprices all comparable used examples against. Manufacturers discounting new inventory to stimulate demand simultaneously destroy existing owners' resale values. And EQS SUV early adopters are experiencing that dynamic with particular severity. Number 7 is the most instructive abandonment story on this entire list. Number 7. Jeep Compass. The Jeep Compass keeps failing owners, and Stellantis keeps ignoring the evidence. Stop completely, because the Jeep Compass represents the most instructive abandonment story on this list. Every other vehicle here is being abandoned for new technology failures or EV-specific challenges. The Compass is being abandoned for conventional, documented, preventable reliability failures that Stellantis has been provided extensive evidence about across multiple model years and has demonstrably failed to resolve with the urgency those failures demand. Starting at $27,000, the Compass competes against the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, and Mazda CX-5, vehicles whose reliability records it cannot approach by any independent measurement. The Jeep badge commands brand loyalty, keeping Compass transaction prices higher than vehicles from competitors with demonstrably superior reliability. Buyers are paying a heritage premium for a below-average ownership experience. And when that realization arrives around the third dealer visit, the decision to absorb a trade-in loss and exit becomes emotionally necessary rather than merely logical. What most people don't realize is that Stellantis possesses the warranty claim frequency data, the J.D. Power survey results, and the NHTSA complaint filing volume to understand precisely where the Compass is failing its buyers. The persistence of specific documented failure modes across multiple model years without comprehensive resolution represents a product management prioritization that current owners are paying the price for through first-year abandonment decisions that data shows are accelerating. Number 5 involves a vehicle whose revolutionary ambition and operational reality diverged in ways that passionate early adopters are still processing emotionally and financially. Number 5. Rivian R1S. The most anticipated electric SUV of the decade is humbling its most passionate owners. Starting at $75,900, the Rivian R1S generated waiting lists measured in years and deposit queues numbering hundreds of thousands. The gap between that enthusiasm and first-year ownership reality has produced abandonment decisions that are emotionally complex, because owners who loved what the R1S represented are walking away from vehicles whose execution failed to honor the promise that generated their commitment. The R1S is genuinely exceptional in specific conditions. Off-road capability is outstanding. Quad motor performance is extraordinary. Camp mode and gear, tunnel storage are innovations without equivalent elsewhere. The abandonment problem isn't capability, it's reliability and support infrastructure determining whether exceptional capability can be accessed consistently rather than intermittently around unplanned dealer visits and extended parts wait times. But here's the twist. Rivian's service network remains dramatically undersized relative to its vehicle population. Service centers concentrated in major coastal cities leave owners elsewhere facing mobile service wait times exceeding 2 weeks for non-critical repairs, and significantly longer for issues requiring parts experiencing documented supply chain shortages. Vehicles awaiting parts for months while owners arrange alternative transportation represent an ownership burden the $75,900 price point makes increasingly difficult to rationalize. Number 4. Cadillac Lyriq. Cadillac's electric renaissance is producing owner frustration on a significant scale. Starting at $58,000, the Lyriq was positioned as GM's clearest statement that American luxury could compete at the highest level of the electric segment. First-year owner data tells a different story. Platform reliability issues, service infrastructure inadequacy, and software instability collectively undermining the premium experience the Lyriq's visual presentation consistently promises, but its operational reality fails to deliver. GM's Ultium platform has generated more warranty claims in its first 2 years of volume production than any comparable platform from a major manufacturer. What most people don't realize is that real-world efficiency consistently falling below EPA estimates, owners expecting 312 miles regularly seeing 255 to 275 in mixed driving, compounds the value proposition erosion that reliability concerns have already initiated. For a $58,000 vehicle in a segment where Korean alternatives deliver closer to their stated efficiency figures at lower prices, that shortfall makes the Lyriq's ownership economics increasingly difficult to justify with each passing month. Number 3 involves Tesla's flagship SUV generating abandonment rates its brand reputation can no longer explain away. Number 3. Tesla Model X. Tesla's flagship SUV is generating abandonment rates its reputation can't explain away. Starting at $79,990, the Model X carries ownership expectations calibrated to both its price and Tesla's reputation for technological leadership. First-year abandonment data suggests those expectations are encountering a reality that growing numbers of owners find insufficient justification for continued ownership at this investment level. The Falcon Wing doors defining the Model X's visual identity have become its most documented ownership liability, sensor calibration failures causing refusal to open in parking garages, cold weather operational unpredictability in northern markets, seal degradation producing highway wind noise on a vehicle costing nearly $80,000. These appear systematically across Consumer Reports data and owner communities, with frequency suggesting a fundamental engineering challenge rather than acceptable manufacturing variance. But here's the twist. Tesla's over-the-air updates altering steering feel, regenerative braking, and suspension calibration without owner notification create an ownership experience where vehicle behavior can change meaningfully overnight. Owners who valued predictability alongside performance find this characteristic increasingly problematic as the novelty of the update model diminishes through extended ownership. What most people don't realize is that Tesla's own pricing cuts across the Model X lineup have destroyed residual value assumptions that buyers made at purchase, meaning owners exiting early absorb both the experience cost of a disappointing ownership period and financial depreciation driven substantially by their own manufacturer's pricing strategy. That combination of experience failure and financial loss is accelerating abandonment decisions that owners of previous Tesla generations rarely faced. Number 2 and number 1 are the most severe abandonment stories on this entire list. Number 2, Ford Mustang Mach-E. Ford's electric Mustang is losing owners who feel genuinely misled by the brand promise. Starting at $42,995, the Mach-E generated brand controversy that guaranteed attention. Using America's most iconic performance nameplate on an electric crossover produced strong reactions that shaped first-year ownership psychology in ways Ford may not have fully anticipated when approving the naming decision. Ford's Sync 4 A system has generated more owner complaints per unit sold than almost any other infotainment deployed in a mainstream vehicle in 2026. Screen freezes during navigation. Bluetooth disconnections requiring full system restarts. Voice recognition that owners consistently describe as unreliable in real-world conditions. For a vehicle whose entire brand proposition centers on technological advancement, infotainment failures undermine the core ownership justification rather than representing peripheral disappointments. But here's the twist. Ford's significant recall related to high-voltage battery contactors capable of causing complete power loss while driving affected tens of thousands of vehicles and required extended dealer visits. For first-year owners establishing their relationship with EV ownership through the MAC-E, a safety-related recall within the first ownership year, is a confidence-eroding event that permanently shapes subsequent satisfaction regardless of how completely the recall is resolved. What most people don't realize is that Mustang brand loyalists who overcame naming objections and purchased specifically because of Ford's performance heritage have been the most vocal in abandonment decisions, because the brand promise they implicitly purchased amplified their disappointment when execution reality landed below expectation. The gap between what the Mustang name implied and what the Mach-E delivered created an abandonment motivation that purely rational product assessment would not have generated with the same intensity or speed. Number 1. Fisker Ocean. No car in recent history has abandoned its owners more completely than the Fisker Ocean. Every other vehicle on this list has a manufacturer actively working to resolve its problems. Their warranty is unenforceable. Their vehicle's software stopped developing permanently at a point when it was documentably incomplete. Their connected services are offline. Their parts supply chain has no official continuation pathway of any kind. Starting at $37,499, the Ocean software was incomplete at delivery. Features listed as standard in purchase contracts non-functional from day one. Windows that couldn't be independently controlled, regenerative braking that couldn't be adjusted, a California mode activating spontaneously in cold weather, over-the-air updates introducing new failures while resolving old ones. These weren't teething issues on a path to resolution. They were symptoms of a product released before development was complete by a company whose financial position couldn't sustain the time resolution required. But here's the twist. Fisker's customer service infrastructure collapsed in parallel with product quality. Phone lines unanswered for days. Software updates ceased permanently. Connected services went offline. Insurance companies in multiple markets began declining coverage due to parts uncertainty, creating unquantifiable repair cost risk that standard actuarial models couldn't price accurately. And this is where it gets crazy. Good condition, low mileage Fisker Oceans are trading at $8,000 to $16,000 in 2026, 75 to 85% depreciation from purchase.